We are really happy to welcome you, Madina, here today at our PSIR talks. So to tell a bit about you for all the participants who are not familiar, Madina graduated from NU in 2016 with a Summa Cum Laude Honors diploma in PSIR. She also double majored in Sociology, and Madina received her master's degree in the interdisciplinary program in international affairs with a focus on economics and business at the Graduate Institute of Geneva. And currently she's a full-time consultant at the Center of Research and Consulting. And today I hope we will know more about you and your experience, and hope it will be very interesting and helpful. Madina, how are you today? From what I know, you just returned back to Kazakhstan. How was the flight?
Yeah, thank you. First of all, thank you for inviting, Zarina. I'm really pleased to have an opportunity to talk with the new community again, because this year I will mark my 5th anniversary since I graduated, and I can't believe how time flies. And yeah, flight was also good, thanks.
Okay, really glad to know that. So let's start. And can you please tell us a bit more about what you are doing now as a consultant at CRC and what CRC is?
Yeah, so CRC is basically the small boutique company which offers consulting and research services primarily to the government sector. So the biggest part of our projects are dedicated to helping government to figure out certain strategies, whether it comes to the city strategy or regional ones, or for particular stakeholders on a wide variety of topics. Yeah, so from my personal experience, I've been working for this company for 3 years, almost 3 years, and I've conducted research on human capital, which lasted almost 1 year. Also, there were more practical projects, such as developing a strategy for the city of Astana till 2050. Also, in our company, people, they conduct not only group projects like those that I just listed, but also personal ones where you can just dive into your research. Maybe some of you are familiar. So like recently, I conducted the research on cluster development, which is more a business topic. So the company offers very fruitful way to gain new knowledge and try yourself in different spheres, regardless of your major and background and education that you have.
Okay, that's very informative and interesting. What about the people who are involved in the work, mostly with what kind of background? If it's pretty much interdisciplinary, you can do economics major or...
Yeah, understood. So first of all, it's very interesting to know that like the predominant part of our team are the graduates of NU. So our company is kind of this classic channel for the graduates to come and to start their career, I would say. So when I came, there have already been maybe like 7 or 8 new graduates, and as time passed, we managed to find even more talents from our alma mater. Predominantly, I would say that economics is the major that you would like to see the most when working on projects like this. However, in our team, there are probably 3 or 4 PSIR students from NU. So I would not say that it's strictly economic one. It's just that we conduct a lot of economic research, and definitely it will be easier for a fresh graduate or a student who wants to do an internship if she or he already knows some economics. So for me, it was maybe a bit easier because during my graduate degree, I managed to take the classes that I didn't have time to take when I was a new student. Yeah, but you learn very quickly because there is a lot of data, there is a lot of opportunity that you can use to delve into the topic. Also, the company stimulates you reading a lot of economic literature, so you just dive in and you don't even notice how you become like this multidisciplinary expert.
That's great. And now participants of this event at least know about CRC and as a maybe pursue as a future career path. And
I would recommend.
Okay, that's great. And so you were a student at NU, and we know that you graduated with a Summa Cum Laude, and you had a GPA of 3.95. That's kind of a high GPA that most students aspire to have, right? And we know that mostly students are very interested in what you should do to have such GPA, and do you actually need that high GPA? And in what cases you need it and what cases you don't? Can you comment on that?
Yeah, I think that's probably the most popular question that I got asked throughout my whole student life and after. So first of all, I would say that people are different. Everyone has her or his or their personal dreams and understanding of what is waiting for them in the future. So I definitely think that there is no one universal recipe, so that I would say no, GPA doesn't matter, or no, GPA is like everything. So for me, it mattered because I knew that I would like to apply to master's degree after the undergraduate one. So I understood that because it's one of the factors at which the admission committee looks, it's definitely important to maintain at least some threshold so that you just increase your chances to be admitted. Because high GPA is probably not something that will let you in the graduate school, but it can be that barrier that will preclude you from being admitted to a university that you want to be admitted to, right? So the overall comment, I would say that I would not recommend to give up on GPA completely. So probably graduating with 2.0 GPA is not a good idea, especially if you plan to apply to maybe another undergrad or the graduate degree, not telling about PhD, because especially if you want to jump straight to PhD after your undergraduate degree, you definitely need to be in, I don't know, maybe top 5, top 10 to compete with those who have graduated from maybe more prestigious foreign universities and so on. However, for me, I think that especially for people who have this, entrepreneurial drive, who want to maybe try on their own projects, and for example, many classmates that I had back at NU, I think many of them actually went to the private sector and they opened their small business, or they joined another business or startup, where definitely GPA, like no one even wants your transcript. They just want you to demonstrate your practical skills. And especially with the transformation that I, as a young professional, see in the labor market, especially in Astana, actually people start paying more attention to soft skills, how well you can communicate, how well you can adapt, are you a good team player, and so on. Because everyone can have that difficult period in life when you just cannot concentrate enough because of different issues, like personal and objective ones that you have to get straight A's all the time. But if you are really sure that you don't want to apply to another degree, I would not say that you have to care a lot about GPA. So the major question that you should answer before, I think, creating the strategy for what grades you want and how to achieve them is what would you do instead? So for example, if you have low GPA, but at the same time you, I don't know, maybe run a student association, or you are a member of a big club, or I don't know, maybe you help the charities and so on, it will be reflected on your resume, and definitely the person who would hire you in the future, or maybe if you open again your business, it would be not as important to have a high GPA as another experience. But at the same time, if you do not have anything to compensate for it, so you did not gain any soft or hard skills instead, and you also have low GPA, I think it can be sometimes a challenge for you to get all the options that you would like to have. But mental health should go first, I guess. So just think of what you want, what you need, how you feel, because as time passes, I even don't remember at which drawer of my cupboard, I have my transcript with the 395. So it's okay. Don't worry too much.
Yeah, I think that's a great point about mental health. But at the same time, you, besides keeping your academic excellence, you actually managed to be very active socially at the university. And you were one of the students who became a semi-finalist of the World University Debating Championship in Malaysia. And the first one, I think, from Kazakhstan who did so. Okay, can you please share your impressions and how helpful it was for you, this experience?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you for the question. Actually, especially like maybe not now, but those students who were maybe graduating last year, I guess that last generation of our students that I remember at university, they knew that debate club Nomad was very important part of my social life. I know that today probably I saw at least several members of Nomads on the participants list. So hi. Yeah, so basically the World Universities Debating Championship is like the Olympic Games, but just in the world of debate. So you have it annually. You normally go to another country where there are around maybe like 800 participants, and you speak different languages, you have different cultures, but all you want is just to win that title of the world champion. So back then, when I entered this competition for the first time, our club was pretty young, so we did not have enough international experience. We were just starting like to compete even on the local arena of debates in Astana. So for us, it was definitely eye-opening experience. So my team member was Inkarit Kuzhina. I think that you had her earlier also on your platform. So together we went there, and we were sponsored by the School of Humanities and Social Sciences. I think now it's called differently, but you have probably the idea which school I'm talking about. So for us, it was a bit of pressure because we were sponsored by the school. The trip was not that cheap, and our coach, she put a lot of hopes in us, training us. So we really wanted to show the best that we could. And when we were announced that we got into the semifinals and no one ever before managed to do this, we definitely were thrilled because of the, like, you know, this personal feeling that, wow, I'm so good that I managed to do it. Also because you did not let down your teammate who also put her soul into the whole process, your coach, your school, your university, your country, and so on. Because I was also from an ordinary school in Astana, for me, like it was the first experience being exposed to such a great international event where everyone is just so competitive and smart, and people know stuff, you know. So it made me to reevaluate my strengths, to understand that actually students of our universities are pretty competitive, and that they can actually show that they are strong enough if they put enough effort into it. And after that, I think it was maybe some kind of marketing campaign, because I remember that more people got interested in debates, so that it was not just this close club of nerds and freaks who just discuss every topic every day. So I think that if our students would go to more competitions like this, it definitely trains their stamina just to face international competition, and not to think that if you're good at NU, it means that you're good on international labor market and international arena. And also it's just a memorable experience when you go with your teammate and share all this, I don't know, all these great feelings of victory, visiting new country, and so on.
Yes, that's a great experience. Yes, now debates are very popular in the university. I think Nomad Debate Club is the biggest club, or the biggest club after the Volunteers Club, I think, currently. And what are other clubs that you were involved in at the NU, and how did that experience help you in developing new skills?
Yeah, I'm pretty monogamous in choosing organizations that I participate in. So apart from Nomads, I've been a member only of one club at my first year, and it wasn't unfortunately that long because I couldn't maintain two social activities at that same time. So I was a member of an actors club. So I'm not sure, maybe it still exists. I did not follow the fortune of this club. But it was a great initiative, which was brought by my friend Nazirke Maldakin. It was pretty entrepreneurial one, so that we had to find creative solutions to help people at disadvantage who were socially vulnerable. And we had to think of a project that would actually will help this woman with whom we were working back then in 2012 to make her a living, at the same time producing something very sustainable and which will not require her to put a lot of costs into the process. I really enjoyed it. It's just I did not have enough time, but I think it definitely trains a lot of leadership, because when you are not given clear instructions what to do, you are just given a problem and you have to solve it. It's definitely a good one. So I know that currently at the university there are like many more clubs that it used to be when I was a student. But I think that if it still exists, I would still recommend to join this club, because it just makes you think out of the box, not in one particular area, for example, like, I don't know, maybe like economics or political science. It's just like all areas in one club. And you have to cooperate on different topics and become more multidisciplinary rather than like specifically focused.
Yes, thank you very much. Yes, Inactus, as far as I know, still exists. I'm not sure about their work during pandemic, but before the pandemic, they actually were active.
Great.
Okay. Then, among other things, you are twice an exchange student. So you were an exchange student at the University of Wisconsin-Madison with, again, GPA 4 out of 4, and as well in Seol National University. And how difficult were application processes, or what was the process itself, and what were the criteria that helped you to get this semester-long scholarship? And did you like it?
Yeah. So the application process was definitely not that difficult, especially at NU. I guess we just had to maintain a good GPA throughout our first 3 years of undergraduate degree, and then write maybe a motivation letter. I don't remember precisely, it's been ages ago. The same thing was when I studied in Geneva. So you just had to submit like a pretty classic list of documents, such as a transcript and motivation letter, and then you got picked. So the difference was that at NU, it was pretty transparent, I think, where you are. So until you're on the borderline of of the GPA that is enough to get into the Wisconsin-Madison, you're pretty safe. So you can just know that if you have, for example, 3.8 and higher, probably you will go, like, it's very likely. In Geneva, it was a bit different, because out of the whole class, each exchange university had to pick only one student. So, for example, you don't know how many students apply to the university that you are interested in. You are not sure what their GPA is, because it's not as transparent as in NU. I think that to get to exchange program when you're a master's student is a bit more tricky and difficult. Because also when you're a master's student, you are not, at least at my university, we're not offered as much support from advisors, because like you're all adults now, you don't really need to be nannied by every person in the department, and so on. Basically, in order to succeed, I guess, except for just making the whole application correct, you just need to compare yourself to potential competitors, because it doesn't matter how good you are if there are like 100 people who are better than you, right? It's always, I think that's the skill that I got from also debating, because that you always need to show the comparative, so that like even if like my GPA is not 4.0, at the same time I'm very socially active, or like I see why I have to go to this university, and so which is more important, you always need to show, because exchange program is like a luxury, I would say, a privilege. It's not something that you definitely need to graduate. It's just for your own experience, maybe like getting something extra from your education. So for me, I would advise to everyone who is interested in this type of experience is to think why you're going there. Because if you're going there just to visit United States or Korea, for example, it's definitely not enough just to go. So for me, going to exchange when I was a graduate student was definitely more conscious choice. Because when I came to Geneva, I knew that I wanted to write my thesis about East Asian economies. So it was, I think, a strong argument why I have to be admitted compared to other applicants, because for me, it would be an opportunity to meet the professors who would help me to write this thesis and to conduct interviews with them. So always try to find that gem in this whole pile that will help you to stand out somehow. To explain what I'm doing there. Yes, I think that actually not so many students are doing exchange at their graduate degrees because they want to concentrate on one school. But for me, it was a good choice because again of my dissertation topic. So anyway, you can always try because you cannot succeed at anything if you never try and just postpone doing something.
Yes, that's great to know that you actually managed to do exchange program during your master's degree. Maybe some students even didn't know that it's possible, but now they know, fortunately. Yeah. So you received the Hans Wilsdorf Foundation scholarship. Can you tell us a bit more about that scholarship and what was your experience with that?
Yeah, so a little bit of background. So again, the university that I studied at when I was a graduate student was called the Graduate School of International and Development Studies. It also has its French name. You can look it up on the internet. So basically, the school is very supportive of students from developing countries because, as you know, Switzerland is one of the most expensive places on planet Earth. And even if, for example, you're the middle class in Kazakhstan, the gap between incomes of your family, for example, and the incomes that are sufficient to live in Geneva, especially, they're just incomparable. So actually, not so many people can afford going to Switzerland. And the institute that I studied at, they recognized the issue. So they collaborate with a lot of philanthropists and ex-alumni who are also interested in supporting people having the same background as they had. For me, it was the case that when I got accepted to the university, the institute itself offered me the whole scholarship, meaning that they covered the tuition fees, provided me with a stipend, offered other types of support. But they also offered me, and I actually didn't know about the scholarship before the institute offered it to me. So Hans Wilsdorf, basically, it was the person who I guess established the Rolex brand, like the one which produces watches in Germany. For some reason, this person, when he died, before he died, he established this fund, which helps specifically students from developing countries. I'm not sure that it is only for the institute that I studied, but at least with Graduate Institute, they have this very strong connection over the decades. So what they do is that institute, once they see that actually you have to submit this financial aid motivation, not just it was probably the most tiresome process out of the whole application, because you have to write the explanation why you cannot afford studying on your own funds, provide the different documents confirming that your parents, for example, they also cannot help you with this, providing tax declarations and all this type of bureaucratic documents. And after they see that you actually need money, so it's not on the merit based, it's more on financial need based, right? So even if you're super smart but you're super rich, they don't care, they just require you to pay. after that, they also said that they have this foundation scholarship for me, but they will reapply for me. So I did not actually do anything extra. They just sent my application to the foundation on my behalf. The difference was that the foundation scholarship was a bit bigger than the one of the institute, but it was not that, like, the difference was not that great, maybe just 300 francs, which is like 1 franc is around $1. So the thing is that this scholarship is also prioritizing first-year students. So after I finished my first year in Geneva, I had to reapply for the financial aid again. So I received again the Graduate Institute scholarship for my second year. Yeah, so I'm not sure how the conditions changed because I applied 5 years ago. Maybe they require something new, but with the students of NU with whom I maintain connection, some of them were interested in the institute, and I believe the requirements remain the same. Yes, but it was very generous scholarship. Like, you managed to live there, like in a very good apartment, for example, and to like not to eat only ramens and fast noodles. You can travel, so you can really afford a lot of things. You can save up finally. Yeah, so if you're interested in the institute, you can contact me. I can we can talk about the scholarship in more detail.
Thank you. That's very nice. Thank you very much. So I think that even in the US, and there are several programs that are based on the financial criteria of a student, so that they really require a lot of documents about that. But yeah, thank you very much. So while in Kazakhstan, you were an intern at the International Security Department in the Ministry of International Affairs. So I think that's one of the ways that mostly students of PSIR do after the second year or third year at the university. What can you tell us about that experience? And did you ever consider staying there to work in the future? And why not? Why yes, if so?
Yeah, thank you for the question. Actually, my life motto is that every experience is a good one, even negative one. So that one was negative one. So I applied for the internship when I was a sophomore. Back then, each government structure, they admitted only maybe 1 or 2 students per internship. It lasted around 1 or 2 months. It definitely was unpaid for everyone. So I remember that some of my classmates, they went to Senate or Majlis. Others went to other ministries such as like Ministry of Finance. Someone went to the National Bank. But because of my major and the reason why I decided to major in PSIR was that I wanted to be a diplomat. So the spoiler, you see that I am not a diplomat, so you definitely understand that something went wrong at one point. And that was that precise point, that internship. So what happened is that I got accepted along with my friend back then. And it was pretty meaningless months because I understood and I didn't have very high expectations of what internships are in Kazakhstan. Because like, first of all, they're unpaid, right? So it is already a problem that you have to work and produce even like not very complicated tasks just for no compensation. That's the thing that I would never understand. So what happened is that I was placed in this department, and you do not know actually in which department you are going to work until the day one when you come. And just on place, they try to find me a spot where I can be helpful. Back then, it was also clear to me that actually no one needed interns. It's just like this, the task that they had to fulfill to accept interns. So I got placed in the one of international security. I was an assistant to the attaché. So basically, for those interested still in diplomacy, there are 9 diplomatic ranks in Kazakhstan. So attaché is probably like the second or the first from the bottom. And then you have to go all the way up on the career ladder. So what I did not like about this experience is that besides of this classic classic tasks such as like go and buy us I don't know, tea and coffee for dinner, or go and copy that document, or I don't know, translate it to Russian or Kazakh. So these tasks were pretty menial. I was pretty okay with this. It's just I didn't like the atmosphere. So there was a lot of bureaucratic elements. So for example, when we were interns, we could not go to for example, to the cafeteria along with the other employees. So we had to wait until all employees eat first. And then we could go to the cafeteria and have our final pirozhok for two people. Yes, so that was not very comfortable. Sometimes, like, at least back then, I'm not saying that the whole ministry is bad. Like, I'm sure that there are good people, and I met a lot of good people there. But just on average, the experience was that like people did not try to motivate you to do anything. So they did not care that you're an intern. Even if when I offered my help, I was not I was not supported in my intention to help. But what I liked about this experience on the positive side is that the woman with whom I worked, she tried to help me still. To give me at least more or less interesting tasks, such as writing a summary on a particular document, or look up something and research on something. She also told me more about this, how the career works. Also, I did not like the attitude toward women in the department. So I was literally said by someone that I would never make it to the first rank of diplomatic ladder. Which was not good, especially because of my feministic values. Yeah, so I think that still was a very important one. And if I did not enter this internship when I was a sophomore, I could live up to this dream of going and working for this structure. And then I would probably be dissatisfied with what my life would be like in professional terms. But then when I was just 19 or 12 years old, I already knew what it is like. So I knew that it is not the place where I would like to work. And that is also important to know, because when especially you're a fresh graduate, and even our market, which is pretty limited in opportunities, offers you so many chances to try yourself somewhere, you just don't know how to prioritize these opportunities. And knowing what you don't want to do is also a big step to understanding what you really want to do. So I'm not sure, maybe the experience changed. Back then, neither me nor my friend, or maybe like she liked it, but she didn't tell me. Yeah, so we did not appear to be too satisfied with this. We wrote it in our reports to the school. Yes, so maybe something has been changed. I hope so, because being a diplomat is still a very great job, I think. It has a lot of meaning, and if you are really into it, you can try it. You can be that change that the structure needs. But for me, it was just a bit different.
Yes, thank you very much. I think it's really helpful to know, because I know that there are a lot of people who actually want to have an internship there. And I also had several friends telling me that you should not do that. So I heard more of that than the opposite. But okay, let's go back to your graduate experience. So you went to Geneva, to the Graduate Institute. Why did you choose that particular institute, and what was the application process like for you? What did you study at your interdisciplinary program?
Yeah, so the reason why I applied was rather, it was both pragmatic and non-pragmatic at the same time. So pragmatically, it was that Geneva is definitely the heart of all IGOs and NGOs of the world. So while the city is pretty small, around like having the population of 200,000 people maybe, which is, I don't know, like size of Kokshetau, I guess, is kind of the same. So It's like it has WTO, all UN structures on every corner. So you just go to buy bread, and at the same time you meet all different ambassadors on your way. You like have every celebrity come into different talks all the way. So for example, I managed to go to Angelina Jolie's speech because she's an ambassador to one of the structures. I'm not sure which one. I don't remember, unfortunately. Yeah, so the atmosphere is really motivating because everyone is really positively thinking of that the world can be changed. And that's definitely a sentiment that you need to have as a young person, because if you don't believe in positive change when you are in your 20s, something is going wrong with your optimism. So for me, I just wanted to feel the spirit. I wanted to see how the sector works, because as I just previously shared about like thinking of whether I can work in the government, in the Ministry of International Affairs. When I understood that's not the path that I want to pursue, I thought maybe it's about IGOs. So I just had to go there and see it with my own eyes. The second reason was that I knew about this institute since I was in my high school, because the institute is actually not on any university ranking. So if you will Google it, what place it occupies, like compared to, I don't know, Ivy League and so on, you will not find it, because it's a research institute and it has pretty small batch, like I guess around 700 students, which is the size of the middle school in Kazakhstan. They don't have undergraduate degrees, so they really concentrate a lot on research or multidisciplinary career-oriented programs, so that after you graduate, you go straight to I don't know, to UN structure, right, or somewhere. So, and finally, I like travel a lot. So I'm really grateful that I have an access and opportunity to travel, to have been traveled to so many countries. And Europe back then was my favorite area to explore. So I wanted just to live several years in Europe, because Switzerland is just in the middle of the continent and you have access to many more countries. And it was rather a pragmatic reason, because like when you're, I guess, in the US or in East Asia, you're a bit more limited with traveling to different places. Switzerland was perfect. And like the reason why I chose them is that they were the first one who sent me the offer. It's like, you know, in this, you know, these reality shows such as Voice and so on, when like people pick the coach who turned first. So I thought that's that the one who accepts me first, that's destiny. So I go there. Yeah, and it appeared to be a good choice eventually.
Okay, that's great. And so what are the things that you liked and disliked about your graduate experience?
So I definitely like the thing that the skills that I was taught were much more practical. So for example, when I took my classes at NU on different statistical methods, we were taught only theory, like, I don't know, what is a regression, what are chi-square, how you calculate z-score, and so on. But when you have all these difficult concepts somewhere in space and you cannot touch them, for people like me, it's difficult to process them. I think that Geneva did a better job in like showing students how to do it in practice. So we were taught different softwares, how to operate with data. I had several economics classes, which were new because, again, I like almost all of my curriculum at NU was IR and political science. So this was just like some fresh air to me, because when I graduated, I understood that's probably not a very good idea to look at the world through the prism of PSIR only. Like there are many other disciplines that have their own view on how world operates, how people think, how you can help to solve different problems. So I like that regardless of your degree, you were open to like, you could really also make up your schedule to your needs. And maybe it was more conscious choice because I understood that entering labor market is now much closer than it used to be when I was I don't know, freshman. I like that there was a lot of freedom, that there were many knowledgeable people that I could go to. For example, the advisor on my dissertation, his name was Professor Ugo Panizza. He is a world-renowned economist. Like, he worked in World Bank. He developed his own economic theory, and just having access to people who have such a rich experience in science, in social sciences, and working in real sector, it's really valuable. On the other hand, I didn't like that the institute really, like, for me, it was a sense that sometimes institute really wanted to hire the best people in the sphere, regardless of their talent or predisposition to teaching. So, for example, we had several professors who were like, who had this perfect resumes, like they were in the WTO court, like ruling out the most complicated affairs between two countries. But these people were not good at explaining things. So me and my classmates sometimes, like, we were really shocked what you can do like without a good professorship, right? So for me, I think the institute definitely sometimes maybe need to hold better grip on how they pick professors. So it's not about the name, it's about the person who can explain you stuff. Yes, also I think that sometimes I had the class and I couldn't just evaluate my performance. So I had this interesting class of international law, and because I have never been like having the class in law, it was definitely new one for me. But we did have only one final exam, and it was difficult to understand whether you really get things or you don't, because you never receive the feedback from the professor. You just go one day, write like one list of answers, and that's it. That's how you shown that's what you know about this class. So I think NU has a better, in terms of flexibility, system, which allows you to navigate, understand, I'm not good at things like this. Maybe I have to reread this topic again. So in graduate school, it's, at least in mine, it was more difficult to do.
Okay, I think it was very informative, and everyone should know that there are always pros and cons.
Sure.
So after you graduated the Institute of Geneva, you first worked as a project assistant at the Bologna Institute for Peace Innovation. And so you worked on research on human rights, women empowerment, and mass media in the Central Asian countries. What was this work about, and what can you tell us about your experience there?
So to make it clear, I worked there only for 6 months, and it was all remote because back then the institute was just opening its office in Geneva. So basically, the founder, Cholpona Rozabekova, she is a Kyrgyz descendant. She lives in Geneva, I think, right now. For many years, and she established this NGO by herself in Bishkek first, and then she decided to bring the practice in Geneva as well. So it was pretty small team back then, maybe 5-6 people from all over Central Asia. So my colleagues were from Tajikistan, I guess even one from Turkmenistan. It was interesting to have pretty diversified team, but we used to, because it was remote work, we were definitely practicing for COVID back then, but we didn't know about it. It was difficult to do project and again to understand whether you're going in the right direction. But at the same time, it was the first experience, the professional one, when you are given so much freedom so that you can think of a topic whatever you want to think of it. So I tried different sources. I tried to write several essays on it. Overall, the experience was positive. Right now, I follow the Seol Institute on LinkedIn. I see that they're becoming much more active, conducting different public talks. Primarily, I guess they were concerned with the questions of women rights, which was a topic I was interested in, and in the Central Asia security, like the territorial both within one country and between different countries, such as questions on water, I guess on economic relations. So I think the NGOs like this are good for those who are still looking for the topic they would be interested in researching on. Overall, it was a nice experience too.
Okay, really great to know. And what about the application process? How did you apply there, and what are the criteria?
Right. Yeah. So at Graduate Institute, we have this closed career portal only for students. So I think that even right now, as an alumna, I do not have access to it. So where the institute posts regularly, maybe like several times per day, different opportunities to have an internship. So to be clear, and for everyone who is interested in working in Europe, there is this vicious cycle that is very difficult to break. So in order even to have internship, you have to have work permit. So you cannot be just an intern during your studies and do it just like this easily. You either have to have like a legal document, or you have to persuade that the organization, even for your internship, they sponsor like legal permit for you to assist them. Maybe it's changing right now. I'm not sure, just telling you the details that were valid several years ago. At the same time, before you can get this permit, you have to persuade someone to hire you, and no one wants to hire you because they don't want to spend money on an intern for 6 months. And you are running in the circle like a hamster and no one helps you. So for me, it was difficult to find opportunities that were like, how to put it correctly, like who were separate organizations in Switzerland. So for me, it was either that I had to find within the institute itself, because the institute could hire its own students without this permit thing, I guess. Or it had to be the organization which either works remotely or they have their headquarters registered in another country which does not have such big restrictions. So for this reason, I didn't have like really a lot of opportunities back then, but I didn't even look for them, honestly. But I was emailed by a friend that she found this young organization which was looking for a person who also can speak Russian. And I just satisfied all criteria in terms of the interest area and my language capacities and so on. So I just sent them email to apply as an intern, and I received a reply that I'm too qualified for an intern, and they offered me the position of project assistant. So yeah, I think it was more on how you again sell yourself, so to say, what you write in your motivation letter. It was also unpaid experience, but it was fine because I maybe spent no more than 4 hours per week on this job, so it was good. Other internships normally in Geneva are paid like at least maybe, I don't know, what is the minimal wage in Switzerland? That's probably this.
Okay, great. Thank you very much for your answer. And now, as we went through all your academic experience, non-academic experiences, would you shortly share your plans for the future? And would it be still CRC and political science related thing or something else?
Yeah, so I'm really not sure what future holds for me, especially when you live in pandemics. I would like to briefly tell a story. I think the first person who wrote this was Aristotle, but I can be wrong. Aristotle, I guess it was him. He told that there are two types of people. Some people are foxes and other are hedgehogs. So foxes are people who do a lot of stuff, like they can do this and that, and they learn quickly, but they are not expert in any field. They are just scratching the surface of many fields. And there are hedgehogs who know only one thing, but they know it like through the whole vertical of processes. So when I was in Geneva, our professor of international business, Simon Ivanet, he told us that the labor market changes and people do not need hedgehogs anymore. So that's why probably the area of consulting is rising so quickly, because like regardless of your experience, you can come, learn a few skills very quickly, and then you can consult, I don't know, on metallurgical factory, and the next day it will be healthcare ministry and so on. However, as time passed, like while I was really satisfied with this comment in 2017, because I definitely am a fox, so I'm interested in so many things. So I like IR, I like PS, I like economics, I like business, I don't know, I like photography, I like doing nothing and so on. I did not really ever have time enough to delve into a particular area and to like say fully that I'm an expert. That's probably a thing that I'm trying to do right now, working more on the business and government relations and how actually entrepreneurship can develop. So for me, the overall idea of the future is to still become a hedgehog. So I would be gladly be a fox, but in one area I want to be a hedgehog. So I want to to fill this task in my bucket list. So that's the area in which I'm most interested. I will be able to proudly call myself an expert, because today everyone calls themselves an expert. I want to really have this internal right to say so. For me, maybe it would be good opportunity to find some experiences abroad. So I really wanted to come back to Kazakhstan after I graduated, because it was always my intention to launch my career in my home country, to contribute as much as I can. But I'm always open to many opportunities. I cannot tell you right now like where I'm heading to precisely, because I don't know myself. But in a globalized world, it's very difficult to be to be directed towards one very point, because everything changes so quickly and you just have to adapt.
Yes, thank you. That was really nice. And finally, I guess that each student wants to hear some advice from an alumni, and may you give an academic or a life advice for undergraduate students majoring in PSIR? And then we will have Blitz.
Okay, cool. So the academic advice is probably try to build a picture. So when I was a student, for me, my husband, he is an Ironman, and he really loves running marathons. Like he's really into this torture. He says that it's very important to understand how to run a marathon, because marathon is not just 4 separate sprints by 10 kilometers. It's just one big race of 42 kilometers. And I think this idea and this concept is very very relevant to education as well. Because what I did as an undergraduate student, and I think that was my major mistake, is that every semester was a sprint for me. Like I didn't really care what waits for me next. Like I didn't even remember what was before. For me, it was, okay, I have these 5 classes. I have to take as much knowledge from them as I can. I have to get my A's and so on. I don't know, like write this good paper. And then when semester ended, I started all over again. I put this format button and started all over again. And because of that, I think the reason why graduate school was more meaningful for me, because I managed at least somehow to build a chain, so that one course was like a platform to start another course, and we try to connect all these chains into one link. I think that you will not be able to become a really good maybe even student if you don't try to understand how world works. And it's not just separate puzzles. you have to complete them within one picture. If you get even like this handful knowledge from this boring course, try to include it into your world and life picture, so that you will understand how it all works. I think that's the best thing that you can take out of academia. And in terms of life experiences, I think that people are not honest enough with themselves. So I know that many people are unhappy being PSIR students actually, but they do not quit early because they think that if I chose this path, I have to follow it. At the same time, there are so many students that I know who studied at SST and engineering schools who are much more interested in PSIR, but they also were either, I don't know, scared of a change, or they made this promise to their family to be, I don't know, to working in an oil company, so that they cannot afford themselves to transfer to PSIR. Or, for example, if you think that PSIR is only academia, or, I don't know, protecting socially vulnerable people, but you're interested in something else, just be honest with yourself and say that, I don't know, you want different experience and you don't want to be a diplomat anymore, as I did when I was a sophomore. You want something else. So I think that your major should never confine you, because right now I do not have many projects concerning PS or IR, but I am actively using all the knowledge that I acquired, and I'm still pretty happy with the major that I did at the NU. I hope it's not anti-advertisement to the department. Yes, so just listen to what you want. Your knowledge will never be in vain. It doesn't matter where you end up. It's just like everything that you learn about should be something that you enjoy. Otherwise, it's all pointless.
Yes, I believe that you answered most of the questions that students are very interested in currently. And now I want to proceed to the Blitz to add some fun to our interview. Are you ready?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So the first question: top 3 courses in your undergraduate and which you remember the most. 3 courses.
It's critical thinking on my first year, political economy on my second year, and the third is international conflicts. Unfortunately, all professors who taught these classes are gone now, like they're not work at the NU anymore, which is pretty sad. I think I like political economy the most because I left my nervous system there, but it was really challenging, and it was all about trade. And that's when I probably understood that PSIR is not only about realism and liberalism, but about so many more areas that were just not often exposed at our department.
Yes, thank you. And the next question: 2 qualities a student of political science must possess, as you think?
I think it's you have to really love writing because political science and international relations is a lot about they are a lot about connecting your thoughts through your writing, and second is just having good imagination, because without it, it's not always easy to understand all the concepts that other academia people offer you.
Okay, that was the second question. And the third one: your life motto.
I honestly don't have life motto. I mean, like I previously said that my life motto is every experience is good one, but I have this VK quotes all over in my head. So I think that it changes almost every month. Like, I don't know. Now it can be that every failure is a success or something like this, and tomorrow it will be different. I don't believe in life mottos. Life changes so quickly.
Okay, so if you didn't specialize in international relations, what line of work would you choose?
Well, pragmatically thinking, I would choose math, because math is a good point to start in the current world where digitalization and data science are on the top of everything. Otherwise, I would probably do some art. I don't know. Maybe I would go to photography school, which lasts only 6 months. Will get all my skills and just start my business right away.
Okay. And in conclusion, what would you say to a first-year student yourself if you had the chance? What would you do anything differently?
Yeah, so I as I have just told you, I regret that I did not make my academic experiences more connected to each other. So I would advise everyone to redistribute time. It's really bad idea to divide your 100% of time into 5 equal pieces, or I don't know, 10 equal pieces. There are definitely some classes that are much more important. Other classes are not important at all. You just have to cover them to get your diploma. So forget about them. Don't put enough effort into them. Just make bare minimum and concentrate on the most interesting classes, because like I do not remember anything from like half of my classes because they were just useless to my current career. But I wish that I remembered much more from other classes that I had, and that are the ones that I use constantly, like on any project that I have.
Okay, and the last one, NU or the Institute at Geneva?
NU, because I think that I'm patriotic enough. I mean, like spending 4 years is better than spending 2 years. Also at Institute, I spent only 1 year. After that, I went to Seoul, and after that, I returned to Kazakhstan to finish my thesis, because it was on Kazakhstan as well. And also, I met all my life friends at NU. I think people are the most important factor that you have to consider comparing experiences.
Okay, thank you very much. That actually is all of our questions that we wanted to ask you.
Thank you.
But there are questions in the chat. So this is the Q&A session. We can start. Okay, so Ayam is asking, Madina, which hard and soft skills are the most important for getting into public sector consulting, in your opinion, and how can a fresh graduate get into this field in Kazakhstan?
Thanks for question, Ayam. First of all, I think that the skill that is really important in any social science is knowing how to work with data, because you cannot just have this great idea in mind. You have to prove that it works or to test it. And I think that's it's not, unfortunately, not enough like accent is made in our education at NU on how to test your hypothesis. Normally, you just read the paper and then talk about it. It's not how public sector consulting works. You have to present figures. You have to support your ideas with the numbers, with real facts, and not with your understanding of how everything works. Also, I think that public consulting sector, it's pretty diversified. If you are talking about big 3 companies such as McKinsey or BCG, it's completely different preparation process. If you are talking about CRC, which is the local company, it values different things. So I think everyone knows how to prepare for McKinsey, and you, at least even now, still send me thousands of emails how to prepare for case championships. I think you can find this information in the internet. For local companies, I think that you just have to come to offices and talk, because when it comes to local consulting, it's less clear how to work there, because they do not have this established international frameworks on how to complete the project. Every project is a new page that you have to rediscover all over again. So you just come to place, work, like talk to the boss of the whole company, just to understand whether you click with the team or not. And then you ask what they value, because I know that our colleagues from other local companies, they have different approaches to what they test the fresh graduates when they apply.
Okay, thank you. And there is a next question from Adlet Khan, and he's asking, how can we apply for an internship at CRC, if that's possible, especially during pandemic? And if it is possible, what criteria does the CRC use to select interns?
Thanks for the question. You definitely need to contact the company first, because it's not it's not that the company has only 1 or 2 times per year when they hire people, but it really depends. It really depends on the project. So if there are many projects, we need interns. If there are not, we do not need interns, because it's just not pragmatic for us to do it. So the criteria are various. I would say that here at CRC, actually, we value GPA because for us, it's the mark of the discipline that even if you don't like classes, you still go to class and you perform at least decently, because conducting projects in consulting is something like this. Like, even if you do not like the client, you do not like the topic, you just have to come and perform as well as you can. Yes, the internships are offered during pandemics. Like, we recently hired 2 fresh graduates, like in the beginning of the year. The only thing is that we normally look for interns who are either already graduating in few months or have already been who already have graduated. So unfortunately, we normally do not offer internships to freshmen or sophomores because there is not enough experience to work.
Okay, thank you very much. I don't see any questions in the chat, but if anyone have questions, you can just raise your hand and ask, or you can write your question into the chat. Anyone? Okay, Ayım, you can ask. You can turn your mic on.
Yeah, thank you, Darina and Madina, for this event. I just wanted to ask about your research interests and how you have come to form those interests, because I think that's something a lot of people struggle with, and what your advice would be for people who are still looking for that thing that they would like to be experts in or hedgehogs in.
Yeah, thank you. Good question. So first of all, I think that research interest is changing all the time, because people, they form their interest into something when they have different experiences. I don't know, like you listen to a good TED talk and you understood that this topic is captivating, or I don't know, you worked on a separate project and you understood that you would like to keep on going in this direction. So it's not like your research interest has to be defined and then you follow this path like for 5 years. Like, my research interest, it changes literally every year. It's just within the same range probably. So for me right now, it's how we can make business work in Kazakhstan, like where people have to concentrate geographically in order to make the best out of all the opportunities that particular location offers them. So previously for me, it was studying how Kazakhstan can jump out of this developing countries list to the top 30. This priority that was declared ages ago by the first president and so on. It really changes according to what you read, to whom you talk. And I think it's important just to start researching. So the best thing that you can do for forming your research interest is constantly doing literature review. So if you think that this topic can be a good candidate for your potential dissertation, or even your job perspective, just, make a schedule of how you would like to read about this topic for a month. And then if you are still interested in this topic after a month of intensive reading, that probably means that it's your research interest. If you got bored very quickly after 1 or 2 articles or books, maybe you have to push this topic away and look for another one. maybe you just have to look on LinkedIn, because there are different projects, and once you join them, even if you don't think that it could be a research interest, it could just mean that you are not aware enough of what it means to work on this topic. So you definitely just have to try. It's not like you find this topic list on the internet, and then you click on one, and then you pick it and research on it. It's countless iterations, and you just have to be prepared that some like it could be that 10 topics in a row would be too boring for you to pursue, and it's okay. Just keep on going if you really want to research. Some people, they just persuade themselves that they like research. In real world, they maybe actually do not even like research because PSIR is much more than writing academic papers.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you once again. And anyone else? Questions? I don't see raised hands, so I think that's all for today. Thank you again for attending, for answering all these questions, and for such an interesting conversation. We wish you good luck and all the best in your future endeavors and in your work. And I wish all the best to our participants too. Thank you everyone for attending our session.
Thank you guys. Good luck. Stay safe. You can do it.